Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. And before we dive into today's Kiki, which is Lisa Rinna and Harry Hamlin's daughter, Delilah Belle, is breaking her silence and speaking out about her struggles with an autoimmune disease and chronic illnesses, and also more about her accidental prescription drug overdose. Before we dive into that, I wanted to remind you guys that we also have self-care and self-love content on my channel, so be sure to check out those videos. And then also check out the description box down below. We have a free newsletter we have a free newsletter that you can join. We also have a free self-love guide and also some courses and everything else, so definitely check out the description box. So with that, let's dive right on in. So just as a little bit of context, this is Delilah Belle over here. And don't forget, this middle image is that really creepy situation that happened with Harry and Delilah at New York Fashion Week. Everyone was just like, this is a mess. It's too much. It's a very highly sexualized photo with him and his daughter. It was very creepy. So let's keep that in mind. Also, don't forget, there was the blind item saying that Harry Hamlin and Lisa Rinna had to essentially blackmail their daughters, Delilah Belle and Amelia Gray, in saying, if you don't show up for these red carpet events, because don't forget, Lisa Rinna is now fired from Bravo, and Harry has the Wayfair Witches, and he also has what else is he in? 80 for Brady movie. And they're like, if you don't come to the red carpet events to make it look like we all have happy families, we will cut you off financially. Also, it was released or leaked or whatever that there was some like awards event, like not people's choice, but it was like, Critics' Choice Award or Sundance Film Festival, whatever it is, how all of the festivals and award ceremonies are there. And Harry Hamlin was at one of them, either for 80 for Brady or for Wayfair Witches. Delilah was with him, but then sources said that she left like midway through the like fancy dinner. So she didn't even stay for the entire event. So I think that's also very telling. Like, why wouldn't she stay for the event? So there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Also, don't forget her younger sister, Amelia Gray, has really publicly struggled with her ED. She also came out and said that she didn't want to film the show and she didn't want it to be a storyline, but Lisa Rinna, quote, forced her to do it. So it's basically just said, my mom forced me to be on the show for a storyline and I didn't want to do it. Also, don't forget, it was also Delilah Belle who was on TikTok and she was crying and she was like, I need, my parents won't pay for trauma therapy and everything that she was going through. So it was a mess. But let's see what she's saying now, currently, what's going on. Okay. So this is according to People magazine. It says Lisa Rinna's daughter, Delilah Hamlin, shares her struggles with autoimmune and chronic illnesses. The 24-year-old model shared some of her recent health struggles on social media. Delilah Hamlin is getting honest about her health. The daughter of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Lisa Rinna, and actor Harry Hamlin got candid with her Instagram followers Wednesdays about her struggles with her autoimmune and chronic illnesses, some of which included Lyme disease, Epstein-Barr virus, encephalitis, and pediatric autoimmune neuropsychiatric disorders associated with streptococcal infections called pandas. Girl. In an Instagram story, the 24-year-old model shared a photo of herself with an IV in her arm, detailing how she has been grappling with her health issues for the last few years and is now ready to share. Quote, I have been, and this is what's on the screen, so don't worry. I'll read it for you guys. Quote, I really haven't spoken on my health lately, and if you're new here, you're probably confused, but for the past few years, I've been struggling with autoimmune, chronic illness issues that I've been silently battling and overcoming, she wrote. It's definitely been tough mentally alongside physically. I've kind of kept quiet because I don't want to be put in a, quote, sick role. I faced a lot, overcome a lot, and I know that I'm going through this for a reason, and that reason is to share what I've gone through and what I've learned with you, she said in the story. She also shared a quote from televangelist Joel Osteen. When you feel as though the pressure is too much, it's because you're stronger than you think, she wrote. You'll never discover how strong you really are until you face pressure that you've never faced. It may seem unbearable, but the fact that God allowed it seems you can handle it. Hamlin concluded her story with a thank you to the Los Angeles Drip IV Therapy for their help. Now listen, I want to be very respectful and very sensitive to this. Do I believe that she is sick and she has these different chronic illnesses and everything? Yeah. But do I also think there might be an emotional and mental component to it as well? Yes. But I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that she's lying. I'm not saying she's making it up. I'm not saying it's just all in her head. I'm not saying that. But I think that sometimes our body will have a physical response to an emotional or mental or spiritual type of trauma, right? So I think there might be some of that going on, because there's a lot going on with her, what she said. You know, the list was really, really long and really scary. You know, she said she had Lyme disease. She said that she had, where's that whole list? She said she had Lyme disease, Epstein-Barr, encephalitis, pediatric autoimmune, neuropsychiatric disorders associated with streptococcal infections. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot. So I don't know if some of it is psychosomatic, where there's something going on in your emotional world, your mental world, and this is your body's response, because we know the mind and the body have such a big connection to it. Seems like a lot. Then the article goes on to say, this is not the first time the model and reality star has shared her health concerns. In November 2021, Hamlin revealed she had suffered from an accidental overdose after mixing a prescription medicine called propranolol and Benadryl. She also said she developed a Xanax dependency after a psychiatrist allegedly overprescribed her the antidepressant. Quote, he overprescribed me with one of the medication that one of my friends takes, like 10 milligrams, and he gave me like 20 milligrams 3 times a day. And then he gave me 3 milligrams of Xanax a day, she said during an Instagram live at the time. So my body got dependent on Xanax, number 1, and number 2, I overdosed. I didn't mean to do it at all. I overdosed on this one medication called propranolol. I took Benadryl with it, and for some reason, I ended up in the hospital. Well, for some reason, sweetheart, Benadryl is going to knock you out, and then you're overtaking Xanax, and then you're overtaking a third medication. So you're overprescribed Xanax, you're overprescribed this other propranolol, whatever it's called, and Benadryl that's going to knock you out. So of course you ended up in the hospital. Following her overdose, Hamlin's family decided to send her to a treatment center in Arizona, where she made progress but was, quote, politely asked to leave. After being labeled as, quote, a medical risk, Hamlin has been healing at home since and celebrated 6 months of sobriety last February. Now, I don't want to read too much into, quote, medical risk. I don't know what that means. Like, is she a medical risk to herself? You know, like, is she going to harm herself? Is she a medical risk to the other staffers, to the other patients? Is she going to harm somebody else? And I'm also concerned that this treatment center just told her to leave. If she's a medical risk, why would they not transfer her to a facility that is equipped to deal with whatever it is she's going through? If she is a risk to herself, of harming herself, I think you shouldn't say leave. I think you should say, we're going to transfer you to a facility that can help you with this issue. If she's a medical risk to others, same thing. So I don't know what's going on with this, quote, Arizona treatment facility. I also want to say a couple of other things, and I want to be very sensitive about it and also very respectful. But this is giving karma. And the saddest part is, it's Delilah that's getting the karma of her mother. Don't forget what Lisa Rinna did to Yolanda Hadid. Remember when Yolanda was struggling with her Lyme disease and her mental health and her physical health and people not believing her? And she also said that her daughters suffered from some of it as well. And Lisa Rinna was very instrumental in saying that she had Munchausen disease, that she was faking it, that she was just doing it for attention, right? And now, fast forward, her daughter is suffering from the same exact disease, and struggling with her mental health and struggling with her sobriety and her addiction. So I think it's really telling how full circle that came. Like, I know Harry Hamlin is out here trying to do damage control and blame everything on Lisa Vanderpump, saying, oh, no, it wasn't Lisa Rinna who, brought up the Munchausenism. She was used. Somebody told her that story, blah, 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 blah. And Lisa Rinna said she was, brainwashed by Lisa Vanderpump. This is the thing. Lisa Rinna, you're a grown woman. You're an adult. You know how to play the game. I don't think anybody brainwashes you. I think you took the opportunity to throw Yolanda Hadid under the bus. You wanted a storyline and you were jealous. And you saw that you could use other people as a scapegoat. At the end of the day, you are accountable for what comes out of your mouth, not other people. I also think it's really telling that Delilah is saying that she, one of the things that she overdosed on was Xanax. And don't forget, Lisa Rinna had her bag of pills that she had no problem saying she was popping and that she wanted to throw some Xanax in a smoothie and make a Xanax smoothie. Whether she was being serious or whether she was joking, it's a little karmic now, again, what her daughter is going through. And I also want to be very clear that I feel my heart goes out to Delilah and my heart goes out to Amelia. And I don't think it's their fault. I think that something has happened to these girls or hasn't happened, either like neglect or some type of abuse. I don't know. Again, I'm not saying this is true. I don't put that allegation out there. That's really, really huge. And I don't want to say that because I don't have any proof of it. So I'm not putting the allegation out there. I'm just saying hypothetically, I think when you have at the least one child who is struggling mentally, but then to have both children struggling mentally, whether it is with being addicted to prescription pills or whether it is having an AD, whether it is accidentally overdosing. And I do think it was an accidental overdose. I think she was just popping everything and not thinking. To me, that seems like what was going on in the household. And again, I'm not making any accusations or any allegations. I'm just saying hypothetically, if you have such young, beautiful, not that attraction matters, but you know what I'm saying, such young, beautiful, and I know we clown Lisa Rinna and Harry Hamlin about their finances, but to be honest, Amelia Gray and Delilah Belle, in the grand scheme of the world, by all intents and purposes, are very privileged children. They're very privileged. They're white, they are pretty, they live in Los Angeles, California. Their parents are in the entertainment industry and have been for a very, very long time. They may not have the quote money and all of that some other people have, but comparatively to the rest of the world, I think they're doing fine. So by all means, if you have these quote very privileged people and look at how they're struggling, you kind of have to think what happened to make it turn out this way. Do I believe Delilah? I do believe her. Do I believe Amelia? I do believe her. But I think the question is, what is truly causing all of this stuff? And it's just so sad because I know that they are, quote, adults. They're in their 20s. But I don't know. It's just very sad. It's just very, very sad. They seem, I don't know what the situation is, but I want to know what you guys think. What do you think about this? What do you think about Delilah Belle coming out, publicly talking about her accidental prescription drug overuse, her talking about all of her illnesses? She says she has Lyme disease, Epstein-Barr. She said she also had another autoimmune disease, all of this, and that she celebrated 6 months of sobriety. I hope she's still sober. And also, what about Amelia Gray having the ED, dating Scott Disick, who was like double her age with 4 kids, 4 or 3 kids. I don't know how many kids he has, 3 or 4. I want to know what you guys think about that. And then also think about, this photo, all of the stuff that came out about how it seems how Harry was very inappropriate with his daughters, the weird, creepy photos. It was almost hypersexualized. All of that stuff came out, with Delilah Belle crying on TikTok saying she needs trauma therapy. And my question is, what was the trauma? If you're saying you need trauma therapy, what was the trauma? Was it neglect? Was it something else? Was it verbal? Was it physical? Was it sexual? Was it mental? Like, what was the trauma that you needed therapy to heal from? I think that it's also really telling. But I want to know what you guys think. Put it down below in the chat box. Stick around, Candy Canes. I'm going to take a couple of your questions and comments. But as always, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it when we go live. Also, be sure to share this with a friend because a kiki is always better with community. And also be sure to check out our description box down below. We have a free newsletter, a self-love guide, tons of courses, a podcast, movies, and more. So definitely jump on it down below.